Welcome back everyone, it's Vaz again with another video from World of Warships Legends. And today we are playing Airstrike mode again. This time in the Tier 5 Japanese carrier, Ryujo. Now at the beginning there you saw our shipping forecast, and you would have saw that we had 4 players per side, the rest AI. And in this game, yes, we have a very high damage game, but more importantly, this is probably the most fun carrier game I've played, and I would say possibly the only exciting carrier game I've played. The carrier gameplay in general is actually a little bit tame, kind of boring, but that's actually fine with me, as the carrier class is meant to be a support class, not a high damage class. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that. They're used to the battleships and the destroyers getting their devastating strikes, and then they hop into a carrier and they see that their damage is only about 3 to 6,000 each run, and they get frustrated. So here's hoping that enough people that are complaining about the low damage of CVs eventually figure out that that's not their role in the game. Well, anyways, on to this match. We are in the Atlantic, and this is a Tier 5-6 game, even though there is only one Tier 6 per side. But those Tier 6s are operated by human players, so they will have a distinct advantage over every other ship in this match. Now for our first run back there, we had the torpedo bombers, and going right up the middle there, we had a congregation of about 5 enemy ships, 3 of which had catapult fighters in the air. So to avoid getting shot down right away, we picked the target that's closest to us, and that ends up being the Nuremberg. Even though it's a cruiser and a slow-moving battleship would be an easier target. You saw there that as soon as we dropped those torps, we had 5 ships in their AA, and those 3 catapult fighters just tearing us to shreds. And that's another common complaint I've seen online, is that people are saying AA is too strong. Well, when you have 8 different things shooting at you, what do you think's gonna happen? It's all just a learning curve of how to play these carriers, and how to take care of your planes. Now with our second run, we switched to the HE bombs, and again we picked the closest target because we want to avoid as much AA fire as possible, and it looked like we dropped them on target. It looked like we had lined everything up properly, but all we got was 2 incapacitations from some splash damage, but no direct damage. But again, after our drop, we end up being focused by 4 or 5 ships and their fighters, and the rest of our squadron gets shot down. Which is to be expected, no? If you're in any other ship and you're taking damage from 5 or more things, you won't survive long, and planes are no different. So anyways, I think everything is just fine. The AA is fine. The hit points on the planes are fine. The damage the planes do is fine. My only slight complaint is that I'm not really sure why my HE bombs are missing when it looks like I've done everything correctly. And for our second torpedo run, we got 2 away and 2 hits on the Nuremberg to finish it off for our first kill of the game. Then we come back around to his little follower, the Gallisinaire, and launch torps at him. I was so hoping he wouldn't duck behind the carcass of the Nuremberg, and luckily he doesn't. And we get a very nice torp hit of over 5,000 in damage. He also may end up detecting us after this run, so we actually put our carrier in reverse to stay out of his range. Though Gal has quite good speed, even when being controlled by AI. Next up are the HE bombers again, and we go for that Legal as he's getting way too close for comfort. We line our planes up so that's head on instead of going in from the side. I have no idea where my teammates are that were supposed to be on this side of the map, other than the one friendly battleship doing what he can do to fend off the enemy CV's planes. We get 2 very nice bomb hits on the Legal, one of which causes a fire that sticks. We try to come back around for another drop, but he's too fast, which gives his AA a lot of time to take out our planes. He is in our base now, so we need some help from our friendly Ganaz now to get rid of him. We survey the ship screen there to see how things are going, and we are down in points and down in ships. Not very good. And of all things, the Ganaz now dispatches the Gallisinaire with torpedoes. So now we are even in ships. And the enemy loses another ship, and so we are actually up in ships and points now. Now I've lost a lot of planes there, so I only have 2 for this next run. The closest target is the Miyoko, but his fighter is up, so I decide against attacking him and turn to go spot in another area of the map instead. What I figured out is you need to avoid those fighters in high concentrated areas. Try to single out targets if you can. Try to resist the urge to do damage if it's at the expense of losing planes. If that's what you want to do, I mean, by all means, that's what I was doing at the beginning of the match. Just be aware that there will be consequences. You're going to lose your planes. You can still be very effective by spotting for your team just like destroyers do. That's very important. One other thing not many think of is the spotting of enemy aircraft. That helps to give your teammates extra time to try and avoid attacking carrier planes. As you saw there, the New Mexico was lower in health, so we picked him as our next target, getting a little too close to the Ismail's AA, but fighting through it, allowing us to get 2 torp hits and an incapacitation. Back at the carrier, we only had 1 torp plane and 2 bombers, so we choose the bombers. Admittedly, I don't think I was paying much attention to my carrier going backwards, which was kind of funny. Just hugging the edge of the map there. Just trying to figure out how we can magically generate more planes or something. I don't know how I feel about this plane regen though. I think it's just the growing pains of learning how to play carriers and not rushing in with your planes too hastily like I did at the beginning of the battle. And with our 2 bombers, we start heading towards that New Mexico to try and hopefully finish it off there. But it looks like he's burning or flooding. And he burns out thanks to our friendly Normandy. So we turn our attention to the Ismail. And he is putting up a hell of a lot of AA flat clouds again. We go in for our dive with only 1 plane remaining now. And as soon as we go to drop our bomb, our plane gets shot down and it doesn't drop. That Ismail has quite the AA. So now we're at the point where we have an endless cycle here where we can only launch 2 planes at a time. But there isn't any time to waste, as we need to help out as they're closing in on our base. The Ismail is just at the edge there. And the Miyoko is off to the side getting a good crossfire against our Ganais now. So this time we head towards the Miyoko. And we purposely drop our torps a little wider this time because we know the Miyoko's rudder shift is not very good. And he shouldn't be able to dodge both torpedoes. We do get a hit, and our friendly Ganais now finishes him off, so now we can turn our attention back to the Ismail. The Ismail's in our base, so we need to take some bombers out to try and help against him. But oh crap, he's just taken out our last human-controlled ally, so this is going to be a loss, unfortunately. You can already see it. But we're gonna go down swinging. Or just keep getting our planes shot down. Oy, what can you do, right? Well, our friendly cruiser is in their base, so all he has to do is sit there and cap it, and we'd have a good chance to win. But unfortunately for us, he's an AI, and he doesn't stay in the enemy base. And he decides to continue to sail around in circles and do nothing. Perfect. So now our CV is taking incoming fire from the enemy CV. He knows he can just ignore the AI in the base. And as our torpedo bombers go down for a drop, the Ismail starts to turn in to try to avoid them. But look at that, that time we were actually successful in launching a torpedo and getting a hit against the Ismail. And it causes flooding, which sticks. He may have run out of damage cons, as the Russian BBs only get a limited amount. So if he continues to flood, we might actually have a chance here. So we press our attack, we take out 2 more torpedo bombers. This time taking a wider approach to avoid more of the incoming AA fire. And we're able to get a perfect launch off against him. It was a little easier as he had slowed down due to the flooding, and we get 2 solid torp hits on him. We also reset the base, which was a nice bonus there, as he was getting quite far along in his capping of our base. This time we're going in with the HE bombers, dodging a ton of flak clouds, incoming AA fire. And we get 2 big bomb hits on the Ismail when it counts, one causing a fire that leads to our 2nd kill. And now we can go forward. But what? What's that about to enter our base? The enemy CV? Oh boy, now this just got a whole lot more interesting. We're up in ships, but he's about to enter our base. And that AI cruiser of ours is going to be pretty much useless. Our only chance is to charge in for the ram. Well, unfortunately, we are stuck at the edge of the map here. Come on, let's get going there, Ryujo. Oh, we might as well cue the elevator music while we're waiting here. No, I'm just kidding. Where's the engine boost consumable on this thing when you need it? We have to wait for some planes to regenerate anyways. There we go, we're moving along here. So let's plot a course for the ram. We have 2 bombers left and 2 torpedo planes left. And we launch our bombers as we see his fighters up, and we'd rather save our torp planes for the next run when perhaps that fighter isn't around. Well, he does get wise to our ramming plan, and he starts to turn away. This makes our bombing run a little bit tough. The only problem now is how can I get my limited number of planes close enough to take him out in less than 3 minutes? I called in a fighter to help fend off his fighters, but it gets taken out in less than 4 seconds, and our 2 planes got shot down. I adjust my carrier to head straight towards his direction again and launch my 2 torpedo bombers. Now because he's so close, almost as soon as we're up in the air, we go into our dive. I find that it also helps to avoid AA fire to go into your dive a little earlier. And we get 2 torps away, they look really good. And we get 2 nice hits for 9,300 damage. We've really got him on the run here, but we are running out of time and running out of planes. It's really tough to launch planes in a trailing position, as it gives the enemy an increased amount of time to hit you with their AA. Now going in for a bombing run, one of our bombers does survive long enough to drop a nice bomb hit on him, and we get a fire that sticks. And as soon as our plane is up in the air, he's just getting absolutely hammered. And now at this point, we're just launching 1 plane by 1 plane. And after that bomb hit, we only have 1 plane on the entire deck. That's a torpedo bomber. We don't have much time left. Our friendly AI cruiser got taken out a while ago there, just as we thought he would. And now we're just launching planes 1 by 1 here. We're running out of time, we're just doing what we can. We try to launch a torpedo really early, but we still don't succeed in getting it away. It looks like he's down in planes too, as our health isn't being taken down very quickly. And as soon as we get our next plane up in the air, it gets shot down within a few seconds. We have 20 planes shot down by our carrier in this match, so he's definitely running low on aircraft, just like we are. We launch our last torpedo bomber in a last-ditch effort. He's taking a lot of fire, so we launch him early, and he's able to avoid it quite easily. We just have too much to overcome by trying to attack in this trailing position. And that's the end of the match. So that was an exciting carrier match, maybe a little bit anticlimactic towards the very end, but it was a unique game nonetheless. Despite the number of planes that were shot down, we still ended the game with 104,000 in damage, 12 torp hits, 5 bomb hits, and we had 24 enemy planes shot down, while also getting 2 kills. And look at that, we are on top of the leaderboard by far. And what the hell? The AI Trento and our team came in second? That should never happen. Well, the enemy team's carrier ended up on the top of his leaderboard too. So there's something I bet you've never seen before, carriers on top of both leaderboards. And it just goes to show you that carriers are not underpowered, if that was your perception before. It's very possible to have high damage games in them. And even though I'd argue that their main role is as a support class, it is possible to affect the game by means of high damage, as a lot of my damage was against human-controlled players. It was really only the Nuremberg and the Le Galcinaire that were the AI players that I got damage against. So what do you guys think? I'd like to hear your thoughts and feedback on carriers in the comments below. And that's it for that video. If you did like it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And as always, stay healthy and do what makes you happy.